data into data frames and work with it, and make it clean the data for machine learning algorithms and other shit. So this is basically my tutorial on data science. So let's start. So I'm audible clearly, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. Made a nice little Jupyter notebook for you. So if you haven't used Jupyter notebooks before, they're pretty great. They're basically interactive consoles, uh, mostly used for data science. So there's this software called Anaconda. It's made for data science machine learning applications. It has Python, R, all sorts of tools. With Python, R, and the other languages we have to use. So you'll find Jupyter notebook in Anaconda. So install that. तो let's start with basics of Python. तुम लोगों ने सब कुछ C I think C++ फर्स्ट ईयर में पढ़ा होगा, and Python is very easy. Like C++ की comparison में I still don't know half that shit. So पहली चीज़ कि मैंने थोड़ा कोड लिखा है टेस्ट करने के लिए. It's not defined. Okay, so ठीक है. Mine coming to tag states. तो पहली चीज़ you have variable assignment is dynamic in Python. So these are the rules you need to keep in mind when you're naming the variables. जैसे C में होता था, C++ में होता, C++ में होता था, built-in keywords नहीं यूज़ करते थे, cannot start with a number, you cannot contain spaces, shit, ये सब है. The major difference comes that Python has dynamic typing, which means that you do not need to assign the type of variable when you're declaring the variable. So let's say I declare A as 10, and then A is in integer. A is 10, I print A, and A is also an integer. The type function can be used to know the data type of the variable. I can assign A again, and now it's a string. So that's how it works. It's very easy to work with in Python with variables. To print stuff, you can use string formatting and all that, but that's like unnecessary complication. I feel you can just concatenate things with plus. So this is Python 3. So you need to use brackets with print function and all that. It doesn't used to be the case in Python 2, but you'll mostly find resources for Python 3 pretty easily. So just use Python 3 these days, even if you've done Python before. Very easy to work with, faster development time, may result in unexpected bugs, so you need to be aware of the type concept. Strings in Python. So strings basically work the same as they do in the languages. The major thing you need to know is that strings are immutable. So indexing of strings is pretty easy in Python. So let's say I have A is equal to HDFDF, just whatever, and now I want to see what is the fifth element of A, so I can get that it's an S. 0, 1, 2, 3, yeah, it's an S. So you can index strings pretty easily. You can find out what letter belongs to what character belongs to which index. But strings are immutable. You cannot change an specific index in the string. You have to change the whole string for that. So I cannot say A of 5 is equal to A, but I can say A is equal to whatever and A, so that it can become A. But you cannot change individual characters in the string. That's what's called immutability. Then lists, so you have learned arrays. Lists are similar to arrays, just they're a lot more dynamic and easier to work with in Python. So let's say I have list 1. List 1 is A, B. I can index list as well. List 1 of 1, it's B. So they're easy to work with. They're basically your arrays, but you don't need to stick to a data type. You can have multiple data types in a string. You can have list in list, so I can have another list in there. Let's say it's R. I can have a number there as well. Say so. Let's print the whole list. I can have this inside list. So the list dictionaries, they like hash tables. You can map elements in the dictionary. So I have an example here. You have A, B, C, D. So S is a key. It's mapped to M. So if I call for S, I get M. Again, dictionaries are pretty easy to use and very very dynamic. Python, you can have dictionaries inside dictionaries. You can have lists inside dictionaries. You can have dictionaries inside lists inside dictionaries. Basically बहुत तेजी से कर सकते हो, and that's why Python is used in machine learning and all. Like Python is designed to get out of your way and not be an hassle. Okay, so now coming to the main topic of the data frames. So we have a few libraries we need to use. Pandas is the main library that has data frames and all the functions related to data frames in it. NumPy is another library that has a lot of functions about for using matrices and vectors and all that good shit. Okay, so firstly, what we need to know about data frames is that they're two-dimensional arrays and they can have heterogeneous data. So you can have rows and columns, and it's similar to matrices, but you can have different data types in each column. And the main reason why data frames are used so much is that they're very very easy to work with. You can find like Python में, R में, anywhere you can find data frames. You can convert any type of files into data frames. You can convert data frames into any kind of file. So it's like I have want to declare a variable right now. So a data frame right now. So I declare df1 is equal to df. So df we declared earlier. Don't really need that. So df1 is pandas dot data frame. That is the function to declare data frame. Columns is equal to name and age. So I have an empty data frame df1 with columns name and age. So if I want data in this, so in the data frame there are many ways to declare a data frame with a data. You can use list, you can use dictionary. So let's say I have a dictionary with key name. We have 4 names in a list. With the key age, we have 4 ages in a list. So I declare df1 is equal to query.data frame. The data is a dictionary and the index is so an index in a data frame should be like it is the row, not row, it is the column that you use to identify other columns. So in DBMS and all, if you inform study about this, so index is your primary key. So according to the index, you can select the row which is written on in the data frame. Okay, so do we have any doubts so far? Like not really होंगे तो नहीं चाहिए, कहाँ से खुलता है ये? Cool. So कोई सुन रहा है? It won't take much of your time. Okay, so let's go faster. In a data frame, you need to know about the dtype function. It tells you the data type of each column. So let's in the df1 data frame that I declared here, we have the name, which is an object. So in the data frame, there isn't strings. Strings don't exist. Strings exist in form of objects. We have age, which is an integer, 64-bit, and the data type of the data frame is an object. So let's say I want to get a list from the data frame. So I have df1 of name. So that gives me this is not exactly a list. This is a 1D data frame. It's called, I don't really remember what it's called, but it's kind of a 1D data frame. So, but this when I type df1 of name, that does not change df1. So let's say I want to print df1 again. It's still this. So if I want it to change, I need to declare it to df1 again. That changes it. So that's something you need to keep. So I'm going to show you a few basic operations on data frames right now. If you want to learn more about these, I'll uh, give you a few resources and you can contact me. So this is one of the CSV files I've worked for before. So we have a data frame called albums and we have a data frame called features. So CSV file is basically text files with data is separated by commas and entities. So in a CSV files, the different columns of a row they are separated by commas, and the different rows are separated by enters. That like CSV is the most basic kind of file data file will come across. So read underscore CSV is the function panda function to read this CSV. So we have two CSV files. We have albums and we have features. So like there's a lot of stuff in there. You don't need to worry about that. Let's talk about accessing the data and working with it. So let's say I want to go to the fourth song. So I'll go features. I want to access the column song, his song, and the index number 4. So I have features, start, ender. So that's the song featuring Offset and Tiger. So about this again, so this is my index. So if my index was say rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 4, then I'll have to type rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 4 because that is my key I'm using to differentiate between rows. Okay, any doubts? What's NAN? So sorry I missed that. NAN is NA, so not applicable. That is a break in the data where there is no data in the file. So that is one thing you can do. Sometimes the data gets corrupted. The data for a specific row is not available. So the data frame sets it to NAN. So to remove, let's say I want to go on the length of the albums. I don't want this row. Don't want the rows that have NAN because that would I cannot calculate for those rows, right? So we have a function called drop NA, which drops all the rows which have one or more columns as NA. Okay. So next we have dates. So when you work in the data frames, you have to work with dates a lot of the time, and like in this case, we have albums. So if we go to D type, you can see that the date is an object. It's a string, and I don't want it to be a string. I want it to be a date. So we have a lot of datetime data types in Python, but datetime for NS is the one I would work with most. So if I after running this cell features I cannot spell, I'm so sorry, कॉपी कर लेता हूँ. हाँ मैं बहुत आलसी हूँ, मैं फाइल के नाम भी नहीं चेंज करता हूँ. So if I see the data types again, you can see that date is not date by 64 NS. So that's for dates. So another thing I want to tell you is how to select the part of the data set you want to. You need to slice the data set according to what you want. So you can pin the data and you can mask the data. So when you're using a mask, please select the specifications of the mask. So we have albums date. So the albums with the column value and column date is greater than 1980. and the album if the value of column 8 is less than equal to 1990, that is a must. And if say you 80s, so 80s is a new data frame. I'm using albums. My whole data frame I'm using the location of mask. And if I run this code, you see that 80s contains all the albums that have dates greater than 1980 and less than 1990. So that will slice the data frames. The drop any function is used to drop any. So let's drop any from 80s. Now I have used 80s or drop any, but it's not still applied. It's not saved in the variable. You see, it does not drop any right now. We need to put 80 is equal to 80 drop any for it to stick. There you go. Another thing function is to drop duplicates. So a lot of times we get duplicate data. This is a straightforward function to drop the duplicates, which is so any duplicate data will be dropped. We have you can drop duplicates according to a specific column. So if I run this command, so 80s or drop duplicate, we have a subset of album and artist. So the entries in which album and artist is same, but all the other variables don't necessarily have to be same. Those will be dropped as well. So drop duplicates is it drops everything. If it only drops it if all the columns are equal, but you can use a subset to go for it as you like. Okay, sort values is the sorting function. So I can sort data frame by date. It will put it according to the what do you call it? Sorted according to ascending date, and for it to stick, I have to put 80 is equal to, or I can use in place is equal to true for it as well. Okay, let's not use in place true. I cannot use in place true in this one. I don't really know the exact reason, but it's not working. So this always works. You can assign the variable to it again. So the group by function, using this you can group the data. Do you have any other doubts? No. So you can group the data according to that. So in this data frame, I have a lot of albums, and we can have an album multiple times because this is data for the weekly Billboard rankings which is released. So let's say we have 74 jailbreak album. It's in the data multiple times, and I want uh, the average rank of that album. So the 74 jailbreak album, I'll group the entries by album. Uh, I'll set the index as false. I don't want the index to change, and I'll use the dot mean function. So that says that all the other entries except the album will get mean. Those who can. So the rank of the function is now a mean. So let's say we had 219 two entries for 74 jailbreak. One was of 200 rank, one was of 198 rank. Now we have 199. So that's how group by works. You can have a median here. We can just uh, group them and have them have the interior list. That's also something to do. So apart from that, you can remove rows and columns and all that. So I don't want this column even because of probably some kind of merge function. I don't want it, so I'll remove it. So I've done this cell already. Other error is because I've run the cell already. There is no such column anymore. So that's why we have that error. So that column isn't here. So I think that's basically it. So another library we use a lot is the matchwork library. That it's pretty easy one. So basically, you need to import the library. You need to use figure is equal to plot that figure to declare the figure, and then you can declare the other thing in the figure. So we declare the axis of the figure, that's 0011. So that's the axis starts from 00, and the height and width is 1 and 1. The language is, so this is the data. So for a bar graph, so if I'm using ax per bar, I need to have an x-axis and an y-axis. So the ranks is the x-axis and the students is the y-axis, and shows the graph. So here is my graph. It's pretty similar for pie chart. Just we use ax.pie instead of ax.bar. The auto PCT is used to automatically show the percentage of the slice of the pie that each language has, and it's 1.2 because it's up to 2 decimal places. So I think that's it from my side. Are there any doubts?
सो तो मेरे क्या नहीं गए
ज़्यादा
ना
लंबा फील गया. Sorry,
सो तो नहीं गए ना
I think so. With it's alright. So जो बंदे बचे हैं, do we have any doubts here? I'll
अच्छा
stop sharing. Okay, so I think that's it from my side and from Meets as well. If you guys have any doubts or like you have any questions, you can contact us from the Discord server, or you can find it WhatsApp group. WhatsApp group will be at the top where admins. So any questions, just ping us anytime, and if there's nothing else right now, I think we can end this here. Yeah, Meet. So you can like upload the PPT on site and share the link. I think on the
Yeah, I
WhatsApp
will
group.
upload it on
We'll do
Discord
that.
and WhatsApp also. Both of
Yeah,
the channels.
we'll do that. So I think that's it. Thank you for bearing with us for this 1.5 hours internship and interview experience. Harshit's WhatsApp. So what branch are you from? EC. So basically like when the sessions actually in place, जब online वगैरह नहीं हो रहा है, so the company start arriving at day one. So day one पहले कुछ weeks there are a lot of companies every day, and basically what happens is that companies usually come in an order of the क्या कहते हैं, the preference students which they give them. So the highest paying companies that come first, and then it goes on like last तक चलता है. तो AC